everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations. I have a walkthrough for you, and this is just a gorgeous little album. I am using Kitchen Memories from Country Craft Creations. This is a great paper collection. I love it, and when I saw it, I knew I had to have it, so I bought it for myself, and I have been... it's been a little bit, and I've been saying I was going to make a recipe album, and I finally got it done. So this is going to be the walkthrough, and then I'm going to follow this with a tutorial. So the book is amazing. So I mean, I absolutely love how it turned out. So it's 6.5 by 8.5. It has a 3-inch spine. I'm going to walk through how I did that. This beautiful lace I bought from Country Craft Creations quite a little while ago and never used it, and it's just absolutely perfect for this particular project. And then I did utilize some of the double-sided satin ribbon that is new in the store. I bought some, and it was in one of my hauls recently, and so I used that on this project as well. So I used it for the closure, and then I used it for the spine here. So the spine is 3 inches wide. This album has 5 pages, and I love that. In this kitchen, we count memories, not calories. I like that. I like that. I fussy cut this out of the paper collection from the pieces that were left over, and this is one of the cut-aparts. I just trimmed it and put some pearl sheen gold on it. So that is what I used throughout for some matting, is the pearl sheen gold. I did use white artisan cardstock for the base of everything, and then heavyweight chipboard for this. So when you open, oh, and I was going to tell you, the flowers here, I bought these a while ago too. I bought them to use with the Ireland Forever collection, which I haven't used all the flowers, so I had some left over, and I thought that that green color kind of really fit with the theme. And I didn't want to do a whole lot with the cover. I thought that was just enough, just a little something something along with Grandma's Kitchen, where sweet things happen, and then the lace on the spine. I thought that was plenty. So when you open this up, like I said, it has 5 pages, and we start off with this little piece. Now I gotta show you, I don't have much left over. I have a lot of scraps, strips and whatnot, and then I only have, I think, 2 full sheets left over. So this is all I have left over from the collection. So like I said, just a few scraps. So I had to kind of do some strategic things, but I did want this album to have recipes and photo opportunities. So we have a lot of photo mats in here, which is, one of the things I wanted. So we have this, the front piece opens up, there's a little folder here, and in the folder I have a recipe card and then one of the cut-aparts that I backed on some white cardstock. And there's another recipe card. And then this also has a pocket behind. So my thoughts were that with this album, not only recipes on the cards, not only photos, but you could also, save clippings and whatnot from different recipe albums or whatever, or add some more journaling cards, however you want to do it. So each page, there's 5 pages, so 10 in all. They all have pockets. And then they have a lot of interaction on the front. So this front one is a nice simple pocket with 2 recipe cards in it. And then you have the big pocket here so you can add more to it. On the back of this one, so this is page 2, we have a belly band with one of the cut-aparts as a stopper. And then I used one of the cut-aparts here on the belly band. And you have your 2 recipe cards. So those pop in here. Then this opens up. You have a pocket here. And then you have a pocket here. So let me take one of these. So you could put recipes in here, pop a recipe in here. I'm going to leave this out just in case. And then I put a photo mat here. I was running out of some pattern paper. I was trying to make sure I had enough. And so I had a strip of this orange kind of peachy color that I thought really matched this paper. So I put the strip here. And then I put the photo mat over the part that wasn't covered, because this was literally just a strip about yay wide. And then I added this little cut apart here that you could put a photo underneath, which I thought was really super pretty. So you have that. This page here opens up, and I pieced these 2 pieces together. So we have the pie strip from the cut aparts, and then I added this, the homemade cut apart. pattern paper here. It opens up. Here's a full-on photo mat, and again, you can put a photo behind there, and then you have another pocket here. So then this just closes up. The other one I did not put a closure on this side here because it stayed down pretty well being on that side of the page. The seam binding I'm using is moss, and it's also from Country Craft Creations. And again, there's another pocket. I did not, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I did use strips of what was left over to cover the edges of those pockets. I didn't put the paper all the way down. I didn't think that was necessary. Here's another pocket with another recipe card, and then I did a cluster of the cut aparts, you know, the little embellishment pieces. I just kind of layered a couple of those there. On this page here, again, another pocket, and then you have this flip. So this is kind of like a waterfall, basically. So you have this on the front. I cut this out of the pattern paper, used one of the cut aparts here that says My Kitchen, My Rules, and then it opens up for a full-on photo mat. And again, one of the cut aparts I trimmed up, and you can put a photo underneath there. And then there's a pocket here where you have recipe cards, okay, and then it lifts up and you have another photo mat, and then you have another opportunity down here to do other things with photos or whatnot. And again, another pocket, like I said. Turn this page. This opens up with the seam binding here. Photo mat on the front. I cut the cut apart off just a little bit just to make a little embellishment there. This opens up and creates another folder. Again, another cluster of the embellishment little cut aparts, and then the two recipe cards. But then it also opens up this way. So you have three opportunities here for photos on this layout. So a nice little trifold piece. Then it ties up with the moss seam binding. Isn't that pretty? And then we have another pocket here. So that's just a simple pocket. And then I just added one of the cut aparts there. Another pocket. Open this up, and then this one is just kind of an opposite, but it's a repeat of the flap with the pocket here. And on this one, I pieced a couple pieces together to make it fit. So I have this big piece of pink, and then this is one of the border strips, and I thought it matched the paper, so I used that as not only to help stretch my paper, but also as a decorative. And then I've got the pretty little kitty cat on the front here. I had to do that. So got that. Then here is, again, another belly band page. All right. And cut apart here is a stopper, and then a cut apart on the belly band. And then you open this up. And I used one of the cut aparts backed on the pearl sheen gold and made a little embellishment there. And then you have a pocket here and here. Pocket here. And then you turn it, and then you have your pocket here. And I took a little embellishment here and cut apart, put it on the pearl sheen cardstock, and then added that here as an embellishment. And then the back page here, we have another one of the folders with a pocket in the back, and then you have the two recipe cards here. This is another one of the cut aparts that I just put on a piece of white artisan cardstock, and then I have one of the cut aparts here as a decoration. Okay, now I was thinking about these because I wanted to make sure that they kind of stay close, because they do kind of flop a little bit. So I decided to make a little hidden paper clip and keep that close so that when you open and close your book, it doesn't flop around, and then it is a nice decorative piece that you can use. So I was going to show you, because I did not figure that out until after I did the tutorial. So in this walkthrough, I'm going to show you how to make that really quick. So I'm going to put this off to the side, and I'm going to grab my pieces. Now you will need a paper clip, and this paper clip is small. So for the measurements that I'm going to use, it's about 1 inch long paper clip. And then I got 2 of the strips that I had left over. Now these strips here, I cut at, and this is just because of what I had left over, I cut them at 1 3/4 by 4. And then on the bottom, I measured up 1.5 inches, and I made a score. Okay, so I scored it right there. You can see right there. So then I'm going to put these together, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that so the bottoms are the ones that are scored at 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put those together, and then I'm going to take the paper clip and I'm going to clip it right here. on the bottom, and I'm going to line up my pieces nice. And put that right in the center, okay? Then what I'm going to do is grab my score tape just to keep my paper clip in place while I'm doing this so it doesn't slide around. It seems to help, and it'll help keep the papers where you want them to, okay? So I'm just going to put a little piece of score tape right there. And if I said seam binding, I'm sorry. I've been saying that all day. I filmed the tutorial and I was just getting tongue-tied. So there is that. Okay, so then we have the score here. So when you flip this up, that's why you put the paper clip actually on the bottom of this, because when you flip this up and turn it, then the images are right side up, okay? So those flip up just like this. And this is just a really super simple way to do a hidden paper clip. And then it also gives you a little tab at the top, okay? This one, the end of the paper clip is here, so I had about maybe 3/4 of an inch as a tab at the top of this. So this is a little bit more. We can trim that off in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is take that tape off, and I'm going to put some glue here on this side with the paper clip. And just be careful when you glue this together to not, you know, let glue seep out and glue in between these two, because that's where your pages are going to, you know, go and be clipped, okay? So I'm just going to glue that up, and it should look like that. Then I'm going to take the tape off of this side, and this one I'm going to glue right here, because we want to glue that all shut up top. All right, so I'm just lining this up and gluing that down over that paper clip, okay? Then I think we can trim off just a little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and take off about 1/4 of an inch. So it's about 2.5 now. I'll make it about 2.25 total width, or total height, I should say. All right, so it still has a nice little area up at the top for like a tab. Okay, and then I'm going to take my corner rounder, and I use the 1/2 inch one, or corner rounder, my crocodile, and I'm just going to punch, or, you know, punch the corners. And I don't know about you, but sometimes mine, I think I need to sharpen it somehow. So I'm just going to make sure that my edges are nice, okay? And there's that. So that is your hidden paper clip. It's super simple and super easy to do. And then that will just fit over those pages. You'll still have the pocket underneath, but that'll keep that from flapping, and then you have a pretty little paper clip. So that's just a really super simple way of doing it, but that will keep everything from flopping around too. All right, so that is my walkthrough. I think this album turned out absolutely beautiful, and I think the papers are just lovely. The pages themselves, I should say, are 8 inches tall. The front page, so not including the pocket, the front page is 5.5 inches wide. The back page, if you look at this whole back page, is 6 inches. So you have quite a lot of room. It will hold 4x6 cards without any problem whatsoever. And all of the elements that I put on here are sized so that you can put full-size 4x6 photos on and use all of your things. And you have lots of room to move. So there's lots of room to be able to add things to this. All right, so that is my project. So stay tuned for the tutorial, and I'll see you real soon. Hi everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations. I'm going to do the tutorial for my Kitchen Memories recipe album. This is a paper collection by Country Craft Creations. It's super gorgeous, and I have been waiting to use it. I had purchased this on my own. This is kind of like an extra design team project because I really wanted to make a book with this, and I have come up with a really cute recipe album for you. So this will have a lot of places for pictures and for recipes, and I do have the recipe cards that go with this collection. Now the paper collection that I'm using is 8x8, so have kind of created a book that will accommodate the 8x8 papers. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. So again, this is Kitchen Memories by Country Craft Creations. And I'll put a link down below so you can go check it out for yourself. I have already made the cover for this album, and I'm using the lay flat method. Now, this album, the covers measure 6.5 by 8.5. And then I decided to go ahead and mat with Pearl Sheen Gold cardstock. So let me give you the measurements. I'll talk to you real quick about those. Those are also in the description down below. I have all the cut list for the heavyweight chipboard that I used, for the white artisan cardstock for all of the pieces, and then I'll give you the measurements for the mats that I use the Pearl Sheen Gold for. So that'll all be down below, and then the rest of the measurements will be pattern paper, and I'll talk about those during the video. Okay, so again, you'll need 2 pieces of heavyweight chipboard that are 6.5 by 8.5. You'll need a piece for the spine that's 3 by 8.5. And then for the cardstock to cover, I used white artisan cardstock. And to cover the front and back, 8.5 by 10.5, you'll need 2 of those. And then you'll need a 6 by 10.5 to cover the outside spine. Then you will need a 6 by 8 3/8 of white artisan cardstock to cover the inside spine. And again, this is using the lay flat method. So if you're not familiar, please go to that video to see how you put this together. It's a really great cover, and I love the fact that when you open it, it actually does lay flat. It's great. So then for the Pearl Sheen Gold, I did mats because the cover is 8.5 and the paper is only 8 inches tall. There was a little too much white around the borders for my liking. So I went ahead and cut mats. So you will need 4 altogether that are 6 3/8 by 8 3/8. So that's for the Pearl Sheen Gold. And then the pattern paper I used to cover that, I cut it 6 by 8. So you will actually have like, it's like 3/16 of an inch of border all the way around. Okay. For the spine, I cut 2 pieces that were 8 3/8 by 2 7/8 inch wide. And then I did something special with the outside. I didn't cover it with pattern paper. If you want to, you can totally do that. But I did have this beautiful lace that I had purchased from Country Craft Creations quite a little while ago. And I'll try to find it. And if I can find the link, if it's still in the store, I will go ahead and do that. But then I wove this double-sided satin ribbon through it, and it fit perfectly through this ribbon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some pictures in right now so you can see what I did with this. And so I wove the ribbon through, and then I put a strip of score tape down the middle of this Pearl Sheen Gold. I laid the ribbon on top, and then I trimmed it and then folded it under and glued it, and then I glued that whole entire piece on. So you can see that, and I hope you can see, let me see if you can see that. It's wrapped around that Pearl Sheen Gold paper and not the cover. And I wanted it to stay outside on the outside spine because I didn't want any of it, because it was going to be double thickness with the lace and the ribbon. I didn't want it to interfere with where I'm going to put my pages. So that's how I did that. So let me show you those pictures right now. So that's how I put it together. So I hope that makes sense. So on the inside, we're going to do the front cover the exact same way as we're going to do the back cover. So I went ahead and did one to get it all ready to go. This will have a flip open pocket for recipe cards. We're going to have a photo mat here, and then you're also going to have a pocket back here to put whatever you want to put in there. So I thought that would be a really fun kind of mechanism to put together. So we're going to do the same thing on the back page here. I did cut, again, the pearl sheen gold the same size as for the front and back covers, and I did the pattern paper the same way. So again, 6 by 8, and then the pearl sheen gold is 6 3/8 by 8 3/8. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this page. So the first thing we're going to want to do is make the piece for that. And I started, I actually like started cutting it, and then I thought, no, gotta stop because I need to show you how to do it. So sorry about that. Let me find my bone folder because I did hide it again, because I always do. All right, so we'll need a couple pieces for this. And again, the front cover is the same as the back cover, so you will cut 2 of these. We're going to take a piece that's 10 by 9.5, and you're going to score on the 10 at 1/2, and then at 9.5, and then we're going to turn it, and we're going to score at 6.5. Okay, all the way across. So then I got a little too excited, and I cut this little guy out already. But what I did was from that score line down the middle, I just measured 1 each to each side, and then I cut it up to that score, because that's what's going to create the pocket on the inside of this page here. Okay, so let's do that. Let's pretend we're doing that. So I just went ahead again from that middle score line that we scored down at 5. I measured 1 inch on either side and then cut that triangle completely out. Now I'm going to keep this because I can use this to be a pattern for my pattern paper, so I get the angle perfect. So you can do that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make some cuts here. We're going to miter these bottom 2, and then if you want to do it, let's see, well, actually, let's just do it this way. We're going to miter this one, so these will attach the pockets to this little folder, and then we're going to cut straight up that score line and cut those out. We don't need these. Like so. Okay, I'm going to do that to the both of those. So I'm just going to cut that long 1/2 inch out and then miter for the pocket. Get rid of those. We'll get rid of this for just a second. All right, and then we're going to, I'm going to get rid of this Post-it note here real quick. We'll go ahead and fold and burnish. So we're going to fold those pockets up, and then the tabs will go to the inside, and then that is how we'll glue that down, and that'll create our pocket. Like so. So we can go ahead and do that real quick while we're at it. Using my art glitter glue that I also get from Country Craft Creations. I love it. Okay. Then this one here, kind of nudging it a little bit because it was not quite to the edge there. Put a little glue here, and then glue that down. Now, because these pockets are cut at an angle here, you can see that, we are going to have to cover the whole page with pattern paper or mats or however you're going to do it. So I'm not going to worry about, you know, trying to put tape or anything down in there. And it's hard to do on the sides sometimes. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about that. And then I'm just going to fold this guy over, match my edges. like so. Okay, so we have our little folder. Now the folder is going to open, on the front cover it opens this way, but on the back cover it's going to open this way. Okay, so we got to keep that orientation in check. Now then I'm going to add some attachments so that we can make this into a pocket as well. So I need 2 pieces. This one is 6.5 by 1, and this one is 4.5 by 1, and I scored them down the middle at 1/2, and we're just going to create some hinges with this. All right, and then I'm going to miter. I don't know if these are hinges as much as they are like construction strips or whatever. I don't know what you want to call them, but that's what we're going to need. So you'll need to make 2, sets of these for your project. So one will go at the bottom on the back. So remember, it's going to open like this. So this is the front. This is going to be the back. So we'll go ahead and put that down on the bottom, right to the edge, and we'll have our little hinges. Okay, and then the top one here, so remembering that we're going to open it like this, it needs to go to the spine of this, so it's going to go to this side. So we'll go ahead and put our glue on. Like so. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some tape. Now these are going to be attached to the covers, and they're going to be covered with pattern paper, so I'm not going to worry about that, but I am going to put a little tape here and here so that the items that we put in the pocket will not kind of catch on those. So I'm just going to cover those hinges and get fuzz on them, because I always have to do that. I don't know where the fuzz comes from. It's just like it's everywhere. Ay, ay, ay. Bane of the crafting existence, right? Fuzz and glitter. Okay, so I'm covering it on the back covers. Okay, so then when we put things in the pockets, they won't get caught up. Okay, so then we have our hinges that will attach to the page. So it'll open up like this, and then here's our hinges. So for the bottom and for the right-hand side, okay? Then we'll grab our book, and we're going to glue those down, okay? So I'm just gonna put glue on the hinges, and again, I don't have to worry about using tape on these because pattern paper is going to cover this with the mat, right? So I'm going to put this right to the corner here. Like so. Okay. So now our book will open like this, and then we have the pocket back here. So now that that is glued down, then we could take this piece. I went ahead and glued that down, and we can slide that underneath and over those hinges. There we go. Slide that down, and then we're going to center everything. Make sure everything is to your liking where you want it. And then I like to hold it down and then put the glue underneath and then lay it back down. So I'm going to do that again. I got to be able to see it. All right, so like so. All right, and then I'm going to lift that up, and I'm going to just apply glue down here. And you don't need to go underneath the pocket with the glue, because the pocket will hold it down. But everything else will be good. I find this easier to do because if I put glue on this big piece and then try to slide it under, I just end up getting glue everywhere. And I don't like it. Okay. All right, so there is that complete. Now, let me show you. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper for right now to cover the pockets. These are 3 by 4.5. So I was going to cut my pattern paper when I decide to do it. They're 3 by 4.5. So I'm going to cut them at 2 7/8. And I probably didn't do that right. I didn't. Okay. So I'm going to cut this at 4 3/8 by 2 7/8. So I cut it 1/8 of an inch less than the piece I'm covering. And so that should go over a pocket like that. So if it was a square pocket, it would be pretty perfect, okay? But then this is where this is going to come in. Because if I take this, and I'll go ahead and just, I can fold it over so it's easier to deal with. I can use this as a guide to cut my angle, okay? So what you want to do is we're going to put the point down at the bottom. You can take a clip, I have a clip, and you can clip it so that you have a little more control, and then just take your scissors and cut that angle off, okay? Right to that point, and then that will give you a perfect angle for your pocket, okay? I hope you can see that. Let me grab this, okay? So that's why I'm keeping the pieces that I'm cutting out, and you see that I have that here for that. So then the other thing, once you get this one cut, then hopefully if you turn it, you should have the same angle for the other pocket, okay? So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to use that as a pattern. I'll just tuck that in there for now because we're going to work on the construction of the rest of the book, okay? I do have an idea about the closure for this, but we're going to do that in a little bit, okay? So now our cover is done. All right, the cover is done. Make sure if you're going to use your ribbon or seam binding or something to go ahead and put that on your cover before you put the mat and your pattern paper down. It's right underneath all of that, and I did it on both sides. I just centered it in the center. Then what I did on the cover was, again, I did this lace, and again, this is just what I ended up doing. If you want to do it, then you can lay your lace down on the gold before you put it on the book, so separate, and refer to the pictures that I just went through. Lay that down with some score tape underneath, and that's how I adhered it. And then I trimmed the upper edges, and then folded it over, put some more score tape behind this, and then glued all the way around the edges to lay it down. And then I used clips to help make sure that stayed where it needed to stay while it was drying. Okay, so that's how I did that. All right, inside cover, the mats and the pattern paper are cut the exact same way as the front. I did the gold in the middle, same way. I'm not going to put pattern paper on this. We're going to put the pages right directly on this, so it'll have the gold around it. And then the front and the back are little folders, and these are perfect sized to put your recipe cards in, okay? So I saved my triangles from the corner pockets here just to make sure that I have the right angles, okay? Have my other one here. And the closure for this I've got an idea for, and I will show that to you in a little bit once I get that completely worked out. So we're going to put this to the side, and then we're going to work on pages. So the pages are all the same. You're going to make 5 of these, and you're going to need the base pages are going to be 6 3/4 by 8. Then we're going to add pockets to the tops of those. You're going to need a piece that is 6 by 9. Okay, so you'll need 5 of each of these. We're going to grab our scoreboard, and we will put them in our scoreboard, and with the 6 3/4 at the top, we're going to score at 1/2 and 3/4. Okay, that'll give you the 1/2 inch to adhere it to your spine of your book, and then 1/4 of an inch kind of give space. Then this pocket, we're going to start with it at the 9, and we're going to score at 1/2 and 8.5, and then I'm going to turn it, and you can do it on either side, but you need a 1/2 inch score. So the way that I had this kind of pre-scored for the tutorial, I'm going to score it 5.5. Okay, so basically what you're going to end up with is a 5.5 by 8 pocket, and then the 3 1/2-inch borders all the way around. Okay, so then to make this pocket, we are just going to miter. I'm going to miter the corners very sharply, so all the way across at like a 45-degree angle. Okay, then we will do the things, fold and burnish. And this one's kind of a longer side, so fold it over. If you start in the middle, you tend to get a straighter fold on longer scores, I've found. Okay, so then we have our page. We'll go ahead and fold and burnish this. Now it is a 1/4 of an inch that we're going to need to fold here, so just start it and then again fold it in the center and then work your way out, and you tend to get a straighter fold with that. So 1/2 inch will glue to the spine, 1/4 inch gives space. I'm going to fold all of that back so you can see this is the actual page. The pocket will sit right to that edge, so you'll have a nice pocket here to put any kind of like extra pictures, extra recipes, any clippings, you know, for recipes, anything you want. First thing I'm going to do is put glue on this long piece here. I'm going to glue that right to the edge, not into the 1/4 inch space, not into that 1/2 inch space. Okay, just on that page. I've got everything else folded to the back. All right. And then we're going to put some tape, because there is going to be no pattern paper on the inside of this pocket except for at the top. So we want to make sure that our stuff slides in and out nicely. So I'm just grabbing my tape and adhering it to itself in the usual fashion. And I'm just going to put that over top here so that whatever we put in there will slide in and out nice. Okay. All right, and then we can go ahead and glue the rest of the pocket. Now this is how all 5 pages are put together. So that's where we're the starting point. So you need 5 of these pages. The pocket I'm putting on the front of the pages. You can put them on the back of the pages, but you'll have to be aware of, you know, where you put the other elements, because they're sized differently, because you'll have a 1/2 inch extra space on the back the way I'm making them. I hope that makes sense. All right, so the front here, the front of the pocket, every time guys, 5.5, and then the back page, here's that hinge, will be 6. Okay, so that is our base page. So let's start building on these. So each page is going to be a little bit different. I've got some stuff ready to go. So the front of page 1, we're just going to have a simple pocket on the front, okay? And I apologize. Like I told you, I kind of got crazy, and then I had to stop myself because I was getting a little ahead of myself. So this is 6.5 by 3.5, and on the 6.5, you're going to score at 1/2, at 6, and then I'm just going to turn this. And you want a 1/2 inch at the bottom, so it's 3.5, so I'm scoring at 3. Now, if you want to score it at 1/2, that's cool too. So 1/2, 1/2, 1/2 pocket. Sometimes when I cut my papers, and I'll tell you, sometimes when I cut my papers, I get them a little bit crooked, and I don't know why. So sometimes when I score it like here and then here, I can really make sure that I have that 5.5 inches between these 2 scores, okay? And then if I really want to make sure that my pocket is for sure 3 inches, if I score it here, then if I'm off on my cutting, I still have that 3-inch pocket, and whatever is missing or in addition is on the flap that's going to fold down and glue down. I hope that makes sense, but I tend to do that because I want to make sure that this is the true size that I'm looking for. So that's what I'm doing when I do that. So then miter, and then the corners we miter. And then we're just going to fold it down and glue it on. And again, in order to save some paper, I am not going to put some of these pattern papers completely in the pockets to cover everything. So I'm going to put tape on here after I glue this bottom one down. So I'm just going to glue this down first. And we're on the front of my page. There's my pocket. I'm going to glue this right to the bottom. Okay. Like so. My tape. Put that down so that it's covered. Then we're going to glue that up and we're done. Okay. Now, a lot of these pages do repeat. Well, half of them do repeat, I think. So anyway, when we get to that, I'll just kind of talk you through it, and I won't make you watch me do it on camera. You can do that off camera, but we'll attach everything, you know, and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so page 1, we'll flip it over, page 2. Now, I did not round corners because some of the pockets will be down to the bottom, and I didn't want to interfere with anything. Page 2 is going to have a flap, and it's going to be right to the edge of this piece. So I'll go ahead and actually, I'm going to put this down below, or here. I'm going to put this here for right now. All right, so we have this paper here. I should just leave this up here. This paper measures 6 by 8, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay, should give us a 5.5 inch page. We're going to fold and burnish. And then we're going to grab our page, and that is going to glue right to the left-hand side of that page, right to the edge of that pocket, okay? Okay, so we have that flap, and you'll have a 1/2 inch space between the gusset, you know, and the adhering piece there. So that'll be at 5.5, and the base page here is 6. Okay, so we'll have that. Then we're going to have a little belly band that we're going to put on the front of this. This measures 6.5 by 2, and we're going to score at 1/2. And it's 6, and then you can miter. Sorry about that. I'm off camera. So we mitered. And then we're just going to glue that centered to that page. Okay. So if we use our scoreboard here, this is 2 inches. So it's going to be between the 3 and 5 here, because 4 is center, right? And it's 2 inches wide. So we're just going to glue that right to the top of that, and then pattern paper will cover these tabs underneath. So I'm going to do one at a time just to make sure. And I'm going to turn this sideways just so I can see better the 3 and the 5. And I'm just going to use my scoreboard to line that up. Okay. And then we'll add glue to the other side. And that should glue right to the edge of that flat page. Okay. I'm going to use some of the cut-aparts to make a stopper, because you can put pictures, you can put recipe cards in here, but we'll need a little stopper so they don't fall, you know, completely through the page. All right, so then page 2 has got a few things that we're going to do. We're going to put a pocket here, and we'll put a diagonal pocket here. So the pocket for the side measures 9 by 3. We're going to score at 1/2, 8.5, and then I'm going to turn it. I want a 2.5 inch pocket, so I'm going to score it at 2.5, and there is that. So then we will miter. all of the corners. Fold and burnish. And this one is a little bit longer. So again, I'm kind of going from the middle out. Okay. Glue on the long side. That's going to be the bottom or the side of our pocket, I guess you could say. Grab our book. This is inside of that flap where we just added the belly band. And lay that down. More places for clippings, for recipe cards, for pictures. And since this is kind of, I named it, Grandma's Kitchen, I thought this would be fun to put pictures of like me with my grandkids in here cooking. I thought that would be fun. And then I could put the recipes of what we're cooking. Oh, you know what I did? You know what I did? I did not put the tape down. Let's pull that up real quick before it's too far gone. Yay! Remembered. We need the tape. Okay. All right. Do that. Art glitter glue does dry really quickly, but it also does give you a little bit of heads up. So if you catch it in time, you don't have, you can fix it. Just like I just had to do. So there you go. But you have to catch it in time, otherwise. There we go. Okay, so there's that. All right. So far so good. We got the belly band, we got the pocket. Now let's do the diagonal pocket. So we're going to have 2 of these in this book. So I cut a square that was 6 by 6, and then I scored it on all 4 sides at half, okay? And then I just cut it down the center, okay? So again, this is scored at half and half, okay? So a 6-inch square, scored at half all the way around, all 4 sides, and then cut it at a diagonal. Then cut your miters. And so when I do miters for these pockets, you have to do them pretty sharply, because when you fold them down, you don't want, or I don't want, any of that showing, just in case I don't decide to put any pattern paper back there. Does that make sense? But if you're going to use pattern paper behind it, then it doesn't really matter. But okay, so I have my pocket. This is going to go right down here on the base page, and it's going to go to the bottom edge and then to the edge of the 1/4-inch mark. Okay, now for this one, I am going to put pattern paper behind everything, so I'm not going to worry about using tape. So just make sure you don't get it in the score of that 1/4-inch mark, so your page turns nice. Okay, like so. All right. Page 2 is done. So let's put this on here for now, and let's go to page 3. So I have already built my pages for the rest of them, so it's just a matter of adding the additions to them. So page 3 is going to be fun. Got my clippy here. So I've already got my base page made. So what we're going to do on page 3 is we're going to add a pocket to this side and then a flap to this side. And then we're going to add some seam binding to keep that flap closed. Okay, so I'm just, oh, I should tell you how big the pocket is, right? I should do that. 9 by 3. Okay, we're going to score on the 9 at half, 8 1/2, And then this is going to be a 2.5-inch pocket again. So down like that. And then miter. I feel like I'm like really off kilter today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. Oops. Fold and burnish. Now I do have my seam binding ready to go because we do have to add this before we add the pocket. Okay. So first thing we're going to do, we got our pocket ready. We've got our page ready. And we have our flap. Now our flap is 5 by 6.5. We're going to score at half. Okay. So we've got that ready to go. I'm going to fold and burnish that. And then we'll go ahead and miter this and get this ready to go. So I apologize. I think I said that the pocket was going to go over here by the binding. It's not. The pocket is going to go over here, but we need to add our seam binding first, okay? So we've got our pocket ready. We've got our page ready. Now we have our seam binding. So I chose this seam binding from Country Craft Creations. It's moss and it's just gorgeous. I did spritz a bunch of it with water, scrunched it up and let it dry so it has this nice crinkly effect. We're going to put a piece here and a piece here right in the middle. So at the 4-inch mark, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab my score tape here and I'm just going to use my grid here and I'm going to put a little bit here and then I'm going to turn it, and then at the 4 mark, I'm going to put a little bit on that pocket, okay? So I have it right in the middle, I think. Turn it this way so I can see. Yeah, pretty much. So one of the seam bindings will go, this is the binding piece right here. So I've got the folded back, and right in the center there, I'm going to put a little bit of seam binding, okay? I'm going to do that for now. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to do the same thing over here. The page and the pocket will cover all of this. So it will help secure it and everything will wrap around nicely. So I'm going to put that right there. Put a little bit of extra tape over top of that. Okay. And turn everything back the way it goes. All right. So this is the front of page 3. Here's our binding. All right. So the page is going to go here. And I did put the tape down past where the page is going to go. It's past the 1/2 inch there. So I'll take that off when I go ahead and put the pattern paper down. So I'm putting some glue there, and I'm going to center this, and I'm going to turn it sideways because I can't see, and it's going to center about 3/4 of an inch up and down, so 3/4 of an inch space at the top and the bottom. And lay that down right over that score tape, or right over the seam binding. Good gravy. And there's your flap, okay? Then we'll do the pocket over here, and because of all of this business, I will probably slip the paper all the way in that pocket just to cover all that up. Which means I probably didn't need that extra piece of tape there, but that's okay. 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 But the reason why I'm doing this now, so you can see, is that the seam binding is extra secured around the seam, or the hinges of the pocket and the page, so they'll be extra secure, okay? Yeah, I probably didn't need to do that. So I will probably, what I should do, well, I'll fix that later. Probably going to, I'm going to put the paper all the way down into the pocket to cover up that stuff. So in the meantime, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take a little scrap that I have, and I'm going to glue a piece over top of that because there's, you know, obviously no way with that score tape there and everything. I'm just going to cover that up, and then I will put pattern paper over top, and then that will be fine. Okay? It'll be fine. There we go. Okay. So then we'll go ahead and put this on. So if I was thinking, I probably should have put the seam binding down just underneath that, and then I wouldn't have to worry about that, but I wasn't thinking. There you go. Now you can see when I screw up, because I do that a lot. All right, so this will tie like so, and keep all of that nice and flat, and then you'll have a photo mat on the front and the back, and then you'll have a place underneath for things. Okay, then what we're going to do on the back of page 4 is you're just going to have a simple pocket on the back of page 4. This is going to measure 7 by 3.5. You're going to score at half and 6.5 on the 7-inch, and then this one is going to be a 3-inch pocket, so we're going to score at 3. Okay, and then again, miter, fold, burnish, glue, tape, and you're done. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. All right, so just making a simple pocket for page 4. So some of the pages obviously are a little more complicated than others. Okay, I'm going to take the seam binding and open it so that it's not bulky and in my way. And there's the pocket. More tape. All right, there we go. Okay, page 4. So page 3 has all of this fun stuff. Back of page 3, which is page 4, has a pocket. All right, let's move on to page 5. So here's the base page. So page 5 will be on the front where that short side 5.5-inch piece is for the pocket. And you're going to need a couple pieces of paper. So we will need a piece that's 4.5 by 7.5. And on the 7.5, okay, you're going to score at half and at 1. Okay, that's it. That's going to be a flap. Then you're going to have a piece that's 5.5 by 9.5. We're going to score on the 5.5 at half, at 5, and at 6.5. So let's go ahead and get this ready to go. So the flap here, we're just going to fold both of those scores. Okay, this piece here, we're going to do some mitering. We're going to create like a library pocket kind of thing out of this. So we're going to just miter and miter, and then we're going to cut straight up. And cut that completely out. Okay, so we'll do that for both sides. Now this one we will not be able to add to the page until we get our pattern papers on, because this is going to be kind of like a little waterfall pocket flap thing. So we'll put it together, and then in the tutorial, or in the walkthrough, you will have seen how, you know, that's going to look. But this is page 5, and it's going to be pretty fun. So we're going to fold that up to create a pocket. So just a real simple pocket. We'll just glue those down on the sides. Okay. Like so. Okay. And then you have this top piece here. Now what's going to happen is we're going to turn this over so that your scores are on the bottom, and then this score here, the first 1/2 inch score, we're going to go ahead and miter because that's going to attach to the back of that pocket. Okay. Then we're going to glue that right to that edge. You can do it on the front or the back. It doesn't really matter because we'll end up covering both sides anyway with pattern paper. I didn't cut that very straight, did I? No. So I'm just putting glue on that first one. And then I'm putting that right to the score, okay? Like so, okay? So you should have a panel here, a 1/2 inch score here, and then your pocket here. This will fold down like so. You'll have a 1/2 inch space here. When you turn it over, this space here, that's what's going to glue to the page. So what we have to do is put pattern paper on this first, and then that 1/2 inch score will go ahead and glue down. And then this is going to be right on top of it. So when that does get adhered down, you'll flip that up, and then this piece right here, that 1/2 inch piece, will be glued down, and then you'll be able to flip this up and have a nice photo opportunity here, photo opportunity up here, but then you also have pocket for recipes and things like that. So that was my thinking on this one. So on the back, which is going to be page 6, we're going to do a couple really fun things. So we've got some more seam binding here that we need. So again, I cut all my seam binding at about 14 inches or so. We have a piece. Now this is basically the same as the front cover. We're just going to put it together a little bit differently. So we have a 10 by 9.5. We're going to score at half. We're going to score at 9.5. Then we're going to turn it to the 9.5 side, and we're going to score at 6.5. Okay. We're going to do everything exactly the same. We're going to cut this bottom out and create a pocket. We're going to make tabs, but we are going to leave this hinge here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on the right side of this, I'm going to miter the 2 tabs. Okay, like that. Okay, this side here, we're going to cut it, and then we're going to miter the bottom tab. So we're going to cut that 1/2 inch completely out. And then we're going to, like I said, miter the bottom. Okay, like so. So that's what you're going to have. Now, we need to do the measurement and the cutting out of this piece. So I'm lining up that middle score with my ruler, and I'm just making a little tick mark on either side of that score right there and there. And then I'm going to just cut that out. So I'm going to grab this and my craft knife and my ruler, and I'm going to line up my knife right in that point where all of those scores meet and cut that out. And then I'm going to turn it and do the same thing. Cut that triangle out, because we're going to, it's basically the same thing, but we're just putting it together just a little bit different. You can tell by that extra tab that we have, right? Okay, so cutting this out, saving it for the angle for the pockets, okay? So we have this piece here. So this tab will fold to the back, like so. Okay. This tab is going to fold to the front. Okay, and that'll fold up like so. Okay. That's going to be your pocket. Let's go ahead and just glue that down right now. While we're at it. Okay. All right. This tab will go to the inside. And that's going to fold up. Okay. And again, this one will not be able to be glued down until we put the pattern paper on the page, because it's going to be centered right in the middle of everything. Okay. So right now you have the folder and you have a tab to the back on the right hand side. Okay. So then we're just going to fold this in half. Excuse me. And make our little folder. So we're going to just put some glue on this, and then we're going to add a piece of the Pearl Sheen Gold to that. Okay, so I'm going to turn it upside down so I can see it. And I'm just going to add this to the back of the tab. I cut the Pearl Sheen Gold at 4.5 by 6.5. Okay, that's going to make a back mat for that. Okay, so now you have like a trifold thing. Okay, pockets in here and then the mat here. I did cut a piece of white cardstock to make a photo mat at 4.25, double check, 4.25 by 6.25, and that is going to go on the Pearl Sheen Gold. That's going to be our photo mat. So what you're going to have is like a trifold on this page that also has pockets for recipe cards. Okay, and then this whole back side of this photo mat, that's what's going to glue right to the middle of the page. So that's why we have to wait till we put the pattern paper on. Okay, and then it'll open up like this, and then it'll open up like that. All right. The next thing we need to do is just add our seam binding to the back of this mechanism here so that we can tie it shut and it won't fly around. Okay. So I'm going to grab my score tape and I'm going to go ahead and center this. So 6.5 centered, that is 3.25. So I'm going to go ahead, turn it so I can see it. About 3.25. And this whole thing is going to get glued down. All right, get my seam binding. 3.25. Right, yeah. Like so. Turn it around. Again, 3.25. Our second piece of seam binding, 14 inches long. And it's moss, and I think it works really well with this collection. I really do. I like it. Let's put a little bit on the edges here. Then we'll glue that down later, okay? All right, so here is what we have. So again, for this particular page, we have to put our pattern paper down first. Page 5 will have this, the 1/2-inch tab, or 1/2-inch space right there is what's going to adhere it to the page, and it will just open like that and then like that, like a waterfall. And then this page here on the back will go like this, and it'll tie around the front. It'll open like this, have your pockets, and then it'll open like this for your photo mat. Okay, but again, we cannot add that till we get our pattern paper. So we're going to set this off to the side and then grab the next set. Here's our base page already made. Page 7 is just a simple pocket page. Again, 6.5 by 3.5, score at half at 6. And it's a 3-inch pocket. I'm going to score at 3. We will miter and burnish and do all the things. and then add it to the page. So I'm going to do that because it's just exactly the same as I've been doing it, and I'll be right back. Well, page 7 is done, so I added the pocket. So back of that is page 8. It's going to be the exact same thing as page 3. So we're going to have a side pocket, and then we're going to have a page flap. So again, you will need a piece that's 9 by 3, score at half and at 8.5, and then score at 2.5. Okay, 2.5 inch pocket. The pocket is going to go on the left side. So here's the binding, so it'll go over here. And then the page flap, again, is going to be 5 by 6.5. And we're going to score it so that it is, for me, the way I have it in my scoreboard, it's at 4.5. So it's a 4.5 by 6.5 inch page with a 1/2 inch score. And we're also going to use seam binding in the same manner. But this time, I'll show you on the pocket. We'll go ahead and just put the tape on the 1/2 inch, or at a 1/2 inch, so that we don't have to worry about covering it, because that's what I wasn't really paying attention to. So I just went ahead and scored and mitered. And let's do this. Okay, so this is the best way, I guess, to do this so that you don't have anything on the inside. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to be a little more diligent about where we put this. So we're going to put this at the 4 inch, and I'm just going to put a little bit there, not so much, and put my seam binding there. So trying to keep it kind of more, you know, not as far into the pocket as I did the first time. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and put glue on the pocket. This will glue down. Now I just put it on the one side so we can open it up, and I'll show you. All right. Okay. Okay. So then with my tape, I have less of this showing. So with my tape, I can go ahead and cover not only the tab, but also the seam binding. Okay. So then I will be able to save paper that way. That's what I should have done with the other one. And I didn't. So yeah, there's that. My brain is going 100 miles an hour. I do not know why. All right. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and we need to add, I can use the ruler for this one, right to the edge of that 1/4 inch mark. Center that. Should be 4 inches top and bottom. A little bit of score tape. Pattern paper is going to cover this one because it's going to be under the flap, right? Okay. And then we have our little flat page, so I'm going to go ahead and miter that. And fold and burnish. And this will go right on top of that. And let's see, did I put my score tape too far? Oh, you guys, I am an absolute mess. I am an absolute mess. I'm just going to take that off. And hopefully not stick it to anything. Ye gods. And this will go about 1/4 of an, or 3/4 of an inch up. So right about there. Okay. I'll be super careful with that because I shouldn't have done that. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little piece of score tape over that, and then that'll cover that up. Okay, there. There we go. Okay. All right, so that's going to cover that. Good gravy, you guys. Okay, one more page. One more page, and then we can put it in the book. All right. So this is page 9 and 10. So on the back of 10, you will just have a simple pocket. On the front of page 9, we are going to do it exactly as we did on page 2. Okay, so here's page 2. We're going to have the flap with the belly band, with the pocket, and then with the diagonal pocket. Okay, so we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're just going to have it on this side. Okay, so this is on page 9. The flap will be on this side here. And so what we did is we have a piece that's 5.5 by 8. We're going to score it at 5. That's going to be the flap. The dimensions are a little bit different, but it's the same, you know, like kind of configuration, I guess you could say. So 5.5 by 8, we scored it so that we have a 5 by 8 page. Okay, and we're going to glue that down. And turn it sideways. It's going to go to the edge of the pocket, like so. Okay, so when you look at the page 9, it's going to open like that. So the belly band will go on top of that, and the belly band measures 6 by 2. We're going to score it half on each side, and that'll go here. Okay, then we'll have the pocket, and the pocket is going to go on the right side. Okay, the pocket measures 9 by 3. We're going to score at half, at 8.5, and then we're going to turn it and score at 2.5. And that will go here. Okay, belly band on the front, pocket in the back. And then here is that other 6 by 6 square piece that we cut the triangle out of. So we're going to go ahead and put that over here. Okay, so again, 6 by 6, it's scored already, and we're just going to put that over on this side. Okay, and I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, page 9 is done. Belly band, pocket on the side, and then the diagonal pocket here. And then I went ahead and did page 10. So if you turn it over, so this piece measures 3.5 by 7, and I scored at 1/2 on the 3 sides and put that on. So just a simple pocket. So that's the end of the page assembly. So we just need to put them in the book now. So I've got them all in order, and I'm going to grab my book here. And these are going to go on the inside spine. So I designed this so that there was a 1/2 inch space in between everything to lay the pages down. So 1/2 inch gussets before the front and the back page, and then 1/2 inch between everything else. So this is an L binding. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold this first page down, and this 1/2 inch mark is what's going to get glued. So do not glue on that 1/4 inch mark. Okay. The other thing that I like to do on these is sometimes it's really hard for me to see with the ruler. One of the things that I have been doing, because it's sometimes really hard for me to see through this ruler and then see like where the edge of my chipboard is on my spine, I try to line up that edge of the chipboard onto one of the black marks on my grid. And then I can use my ruler and kind of, you know, use the grid as well to kind of see, because if I'm looking down through here, it's really hard for me to see sometimes. So I'm trying to make sure that I've got everything straight here. You can use your centering side if you choose. So it should be at 4 1/4 from the center of the spine, okay? And then I'm trying to use my grid. So then that's how I'm gonna line up my pages. So when I put glue on these pages, there should be a 1/4 of an inch mark top and bottom. And you really only need to you know, do this measurement for the first one, okay? Now we have not mitered those tabs. You do not want to do that. You want these straight, okay? So I'm going to put glue on that 1/2 inch piece only, and I can see through my ruler. I'm using my grid. Everything looks good here, and I'm just going to lay this down like so, okay? I'm going to finger press that down, and then I'm going to ever so carefully lift that page up, and then, wow, burnish that down onto my page, okay? So there is, okay. So there is first page done, so you can kind of see how that gusset space gives you a little bit of extra room, especially if you're doing lots of flips and flaps. It's really nice to have that extra piece, okay? So page 1 and page 2 is done. Page 3, let's go ahead and tie this so that we have it like a little bit under control, and I will go ahead and trim this and knot the ends later, okay? So again, the 1/2 inch piece, I'm going to fold that back just so it's easier to deal with. Put my glue here. Then this one is just going to butt up right against the next one. Okay. Like so. So you're just going to lay that right next to that one. Okay. Wipe up any glue that comes out because you don't want anything you know, glued down where you don't want it. Okay, page 3. Page 3 and 4, I should say. Page 5 and page 6, remember, we can't really do anything with until we put the pattern paper down, okay? So we've got kind of a mess here. And let's go ahead and kind of tuck these underneath the paper clip for now so they don't flop around. Okay, folded my piece back, glue. Okay, and again, I'm gonna butt that up. We're just gonna keep going. One more, and then we're gonna do something a little bit different for page 9 and 10, okay? All right. Okay. There we go. All right. So 7 and 8, page 7 and 8, let's go ahead and tie this one together. Get this just kind of out of our way. Okay. Now, there was a question at one point about whether, you know, I prefer to decorate before I put my pages in or decorate after I put my pages in. I tend to decorate, I think, for the most part, after my pages are in, because I like to see how things are going to look, and it helps me visualize what's happening. Because, you know, sometimes if you have your pages separate, then it's hard for me to kind of keep track of where things are and what order they're in and all that stuff. So I tend to kind of do it all once it's in. That's just kind of my MO. But do whatever, you know, works for you. If you would rather wait to do this until after your pages are all decorated, that's great too. It doesn't, you know, it's fine. Whatever works for you. Okay, so we're down to the last page. So what we're going to do is, instead of putting it down like that, where it's going to cover this gold up, because see, what I'm trying to do is keep gold on either side. What we're going to do is glue this tab directly to the top of the tab on the page ahead of it, so that it's basically glued in the opposite direction so that you have the gold on the other side. Okay, so we're going to fold it the other direction a little bit, and then I'm going to put glue on it on the opposite side of what we've been doing, okay? Because I want to glue it right on top of this 1/2 inch tab here, okay? So I'm just going to meet it right up to that next page. I'm going to put it right to the score, not into the score of the 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to glue that down. And then that way we have a nice border from the spine right there, okay? And that's what we're gonna do. So, all right, so we can go through and make sure everything looks good, and I think it really does. I will put pattern paper on the 1/2 inch gussets. I don't usually put any pattern paper on the 1/4 inch because, like, I don't really want to fuss with 1/8 inch strips of paper, but if you want to, you can. But that is the book, okay? So that's, we're going to have on the front and the back, we're going to have a folder with a nice pocket in the back. Page 1 has a pocket. Every page, all 5 pages, have another pocket right in the middle. Page 2 has a belly band, a flap, a pocket, and a diagonal pocket here. Page 3 will have this photo mat and then a pocket behind, pocket. And then the back of page 4 has a simple, just a pocket here. Page 5 will have that waterfall fold. So, but again, you cannot put that on the page without putting the pattern paper on. Page 6 will have the trifold with the photo mat behind it. So it'll open like that. And then, oops, lost my little triangle. Page 7 has a simple pocket. There's a pocket. Page 8 has another flap with a pocket. 9 is the belly band with the pockets. And then on the back of that is a simple pocket. And then we have another folder with a pocket behind it as well. That's the end of the tutorial. So that's how you put everything together. I know you've seen the walkthrough, so you saw how everything came out. I'm super happy with this album, and I think there's going to be, you know, there's lots and lots and lots of room for everything that you want to put in here. So pictures and family recipes and all that stuff. So please go check out Kitchen Memories at Country Craft Creations. It's a beautiful collection. Down below will be the link to all of the supplies that I used, plus the cut guide for the chipboard and for the cardstock. Also a link to my lay flat method of making the covers. Okay, so thanks for watching. Have a great day. Stay crafty, and I will see you again soon with more things. Have a great day. Bye-bye.